Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are recording. This is Professor Truth, and he goes by many names. Shali Lama, Drew, the shadow in your backyard. He has many names, but we're starting to have some pre-show discussions that's very interesting. So welcome there, my friend Drew, whatever you want us to call you.
Llama, whatever. That's cool. Shalzo, I don't know. I'm over at shalzone.com, SHOLZONE.com. My blog's over there. You'll see some pretty interesting things over there, I guess. I also have a podcast called, what the heck is it? A pretty interesting platform. It's called In Case You Missed It. Oh. But then a lot of them out there. There's a lot that are In Case You Missed It. But if you go over there and you search on the iTunes platform, the thing is that I went over to this anchor.fm, like anchor, like boat anchor.fm, and you go over there and you can just upload podcasts. You can upload audio, whatever you want. And then you can just mark it, and then they just take that podcast and then they just flush it out to like 8 different platforms. So
that's on what?
It's on if you go to Anchor, ANCHOR.FM.
And what's in it for them?
What's in it? It's just a bunch of podcasts that I've done, and or something that I hear on. If I hear a podcast that's on the internet that I think is good and has substantive information that's helpful, I will upload it there, and I will just post it out there, and then it goes out to. Matter of fact, what was that? Spotify just bought Anchor, so everything's kind of consolidating.
Why wouldn't everybody do that just to get their stuff out to as many as possible?
Well, I don't know. This is the first time that I've was exposed to a platform where you could upload your podcast or any kind of audio whatsoever, put it in there, give it a show name, give it an episode name, whatever, and then just pop it out there, and then they take it from there. You put it on that one site, and they send it out to 8 other platforms. One of them being Google Podcast, one of them being Apple Podcast, and a number of other ones that I was never even aware of. But it sends them out there, and and I did it probably within the last 6 months. Got like 71 plays, and an estimated audience of about 5 or 6 people that are interested in it. So it is kind of growing. It's a way to kind of get. If you have something that you want to put out there, if you have something that you just want to, put out to a podcast platform.
By the way, your nose is below the center of the screen. So
how's that go?
Yes, better. Yep. Good. Yeah. So Bill, before the show, that sounds interesting, Drew. Before the show, Drew and I were talking about, why can't people get along, and why can't it just be Jesus Christ alone? But all these different groups, especially, there's different. You got the Universalists, the Catholics. But we were talking about the sacred name identity, folks. Why can't we get along and talk if I don't want to use their Yahweh because I think it's the name of a pagan god, or the name of 72 demons, why can't we talk? Well, probably because they think I'm calling them such a name, but I'm really not. Why can't truth actually stand? What I come to the conclusion, Drew, is people with false beliefs are entertaining a negative spirit, a negative vibration of some form. All truth that is not truth is a negative spirit, and that those vibrations of a nefarious kind do not like to get near the light of truth, because they will be recoded to, and the bad part will be purged. But it's hard to explain really why people can't just get along.
Well, the name of the game is deception. It's been deception from the onset of all of this, and people have to. I heard this one. I forget who said. Maybe it was author. I can't think of him, but he said it's easier to fool people than to convince them that they've been fooled.
That's right.
Mark Twain wrote that, and that is very true. You can fool people. You can tell them something that it's not. You can lie to them and steal from them and extort from them, but to convince them that they've been deceived by the system, that they've been systematically deceived, and that nothing that we see on TV, nothing that we see here on the radio is the truth. It's always some form of manipulation, always some kind of just deceptive lie. And people just can't fathom that they would be lied to so much for so long about almost every topic that is most important to them. They just cannot believe it. They don't want to believe it, because that would mean that their entire lives are, well, large portions of their life have been wasted, because what's in their head is dead information. It's like empty calories. There's calories that you take in that are good for you, that can help you lose weight, help you, your body get stronger. And then there's calories that you put in that can take you in the other direction. Bad information does not inform you; it deforms you. We've been deformed. So, and that goes in with the scriptures. It goes in with the names that we've been told, the names that we've been sold, about, the Hebrew names and all of these other things. And, rather than do the research, has anybody done the research to find out that, these names like Yahweh or Yeshua or I hear these names all the time. Why can't they, It's like, why can't they just say, it's about Jesus. So let's just say Jesus. Let's just say Jesus.
Amen. Amen to that. Just say Jesus.
It's just easier to focus on that than to go back to Hebrew. Like, I don't speak Hebrew, so why would I say Jesus Christ in any other way? You know what I mean? There's Hebrew scholars out there. There's a number of people out there that, and I don't think that they mean harm or anything like that. And it's a shame that some of these things have gone down where, people start to dismiss people because they don't want to use those, they don't want to use that name. They don't believe it's and even kind of like sacred, somewhere along the line, with a lot of this etymology, we have to be aware that these words mean something different than we say. Like someone said to me that the word sacred actually is kind of connected to cursed. Sacred could mean cursed, and I don't know. I'm not an etymologist or whatever, so I don't know. But I would never say. I would say, praise Jesus before I would say anything else.
Yeah, Drew, your grasp of the obvious continues to amaze the crowd in the sense that, the Occam's razor, we don't speak Hebrew, so why are we trying to force words that we don't even know what they mean? It just doesn't make any sense. And a modicum of investigation in the simplest form will uncover that there's something weird going on here. And if you dig even a little bit deeper, you'll find out that, oh my gosh, once again, like you said, Drew, we have been deceived on every facet of everything that we do since the time we are born. You were talking before the show about how even we are actually owned by a corporation. Would you like to talk about that?
Well, yeah, absolutely. So, when I was going through my transformation, my enlightenment, I always knew there was something that was different there was something that was not the truth about the world that I was living in.
Like the movie The Matrix, Neo, there's something wrong with the world.
Something wrong. So I would sit there and I was a heavy kid. I'm still heavy. You know what I mean? I lost like 200. I lost probably 70 or 80 pounds over the last year. And, I've been eating Asiago bagels for a couple of weeks because the kitchen's still in shambles because it's getting redone. So I've been eating, more carbs lately, and, I've just been kind of like my pants. I bought, smaller pants, and it was just like, oh, these are comfortable. I can actually fit into these 36s now. And then it's just like, then the 36s are these shrinking after like 20 washes? No, it's because
they're carbs.
The carbs. Yeah. So, yeah, of course, I kind of lose my track when I think of my.
Yeah, we were talking about how when we're born, we're even owned by a corporation.
Owned by a corporation. So my transformation was looking at, listening to Alex Jones, listening to different people, and saying that is what. When I heard Alex Jones for the first time, I was like, that is what I've always thought. And it was a thing called the Austin Incident, where he was on stage. Doug Stanhope was the comedian that was in Austin, and he kind of connected with Alex Jones, and Jones is up there saying, all these things about, these wars, they're all planned. They're killing your brothers, they're killing your sisters, and all these other things. There's poison, there's cancer viruses in the vaccines and stuff. And I'm like, totally. Like, why wouldn't there be? I don't know. It's almost as if, somebody's just been, I don't know, the Holy Spirit's been like tapping me on the shoulder all my life saying, you're kind of an outcast, you're a fat guy, you don't really fit in all that much. And then I find out years later, there's a reason for it, because I'm not supposed to be of the world. I'm supposed to be in the world. So I'm in the world. And because I haven't been seduced by, I don't carry my phone wherever I go. I mean, all these, grown men and grown women walking around like they just got their new Barbie doll or their Ken doll or something, and they're carrying their little phone around. They can't put it in their pocket. When it's in their pocket, they're always thinking about their phone. Listen, America, okay? Divorce your husband or your wife, marry your phone. It's always listening to you, right? It's a listening device, so it's never not going to listen to you. It's always got undivided attention. Okay. Like when I did the latest Apple update, and every time I turned it on, I see the little, GPS going on there. Even though I have the privacy thing turned off, you turn it on or you take it out of airplane mode, it comes up and it's like, got to know where dude is. Got to know where dude is. So listen, marry your phone, get it over with. Okay. You're going to be a machine soon. You're already, this is just put it to the side of your head or put it on top of your head. It's everything you want. If you get into an accident and people die, just say, what were you thinking? I was thinking about my phone. I wasn't looking at the road. I was thinking about this device that was created to enslave me and enslave my mind, because it already has. We see proof every day. The little girl walking in the mall, going like this, walking in the mall like this, Paul. I saw this a couple of years ago. She's like this, like she's serving. Would you like an hors d'oeuvre? No, she's there so she can text on a moment's notice. She can text, because that's the only thing that means anything to these people. They love their phones more than they love their children. They love technology more than they love safety. People walking into traffic, people walking in with this guy walked into this really, really narrow road with his back to me. And he didn't even look. Like when you're a kid and your parents tell you, before you cross the street, look both ways. This jacktard just walked out with his back to the road, very, very tiny road. Somebody who was driving, didn't see him, could have crushed him to bits. People have lost their minds. They've lost their way. Not only spiritually have they lost their way, but they are in an absolute fog and haze that you can only attribute to the energy and the power that are coming off of these phones that they put to their head, that they, you know, just like it's always them sitting there, and it's like, how can you not feel the energy and the power that's coming like while the call is happening, after the phone call is over? It's like these things are dangerous. They're dangerous. The wireless, the Wi-Fi is dangerous. It was designed at 2.4 gigahertz or 5.0 gigahertz to disrupt bodily functions. That's what I heard just recently from this author of the Nephilim Crown Nephilim 5G apocalypse. He said something about 2.4 gigahertz does something where you don't absorb like water. I mean, these specific frequencies are created to interrupt with the body's computer, the flesh computer that Professor Truth talks about. And it's not good, man. It's not good. There is a level of disconnect. People are connected to these phones and the technology, but they're disconnected from other things. So the more that we get connected to the technology, the further we're going to be disconnected from the source, from where we came from. You know, a lot of the stuff that Professor Truth talks about in the trove of from A to Z in all the shows that you do. So the corporation, the Crown Corporation, owns us. George Carlin said it. You have owners, they own you. And these people are parasites. Every single one of these congressmen, congresswomen, senator men, senator women, not to leave anybody out, all right? They're parasites. You see it happening right now, the parasitic nature of what we see here, what's going. If people don't realize what went on over in Ukraine, okay? And the people don't realize what went on over in Ukraine. If you watch a documentary called Ukraine on Fire, which is on Prime Video, they put the information out there. So you have, but people don't have the discernment to be able to figure it out. We went over there and we overthrew and put all these NGOs and all these people over there to overthrow this elected government. And a civil war ensued. People died. People lost their loved ones. And the U.S. spent $5 billion. Victoria Nuland said, basically told the people, saying, you know, we spent $5 billion to make a more prosperous and democratic Ukraine. Well, democracy is just two wolves and one sheep deciding what's for dinner. Democracy is a joke. Democracy is a joke. It's a lie. You know, if 51 people decide that everybody is going to be murdered and 49 decide that they're not going to be murdered, guess what? Everybody's going to die. All right. It's just a joke. It's an absolute joke. We're not spreading democracy anywhere. And even if we think that maybe Putin's on the side of right, you know, and that maybe, I hope that maybe, Russia's going back to Orthodox Catholicism, or they care about the world and they want to make the world a better place for Russia. I just don't know that. I mean, the power of evil, the power of these Luciferian organizations, these tares, these demons that run amok and kill babies and shoot babies up with poisons and toxins and cancer viruses, and all the children that you see in children's hospitals have been given their disease. They've been given their disease. People cannot allow themselves to believe that we live in this world, so this world is never going to change. These people are going to continue to pretend that they care about your children. And at the lower levels, they do. Ultimately, they're getting paid. You know, we call the nurses wasps because they go in and they sting you with their needles, thinking that they're loving and doing and nurturing and all these other things. But guess what? Nurturing this beautiful, beautiful characteristic of women and you know, a lot of men can nurture and do things, right? We all been exposed to the love of a mother. Okay. They think that they're doing something good. They think that they're doing what's right. They're not. They're hurting people because they don't know that the CEO of you know, the Crown Corporation and the United States Corporation is an evil demon, Lucifer. And even if it's not somebody there with a pitchfork and pointy ears, okay, this ideology is there, and there is an ongoing depopulation agenda that's been going on for a long time. And that is the horror of it. And if you don't grow up, grow a pair, and get your nurturing back and get back to the source of what is good and reject this system and remove your consent in almost every aspect of it, they're going to get you, and they're going to get your kids, and they're going to get your grandkids, and they're going to indoctrinate them in their indoctrination camps called universities and schools, where you get indoctrinated. You don't get an education. You get indoctrination. And they lie to you, and they fill your head with lies, and they remove you from the source. They remove you from God. They remove you from what's right. They turn a church religion into a corporation, and then you can't even have a Bible study in your house, because if they find out about it, they're like, "Are you a corporation? Then you can't have a Bible study," because we don't want people teaching people real stuff. We want people getting the corporate catechism.
Wow, Drew, that's quite a. First of all, everybody, Professor Truth disclaimer: I am not. Let me say, I cannot confirm nor deny anything my guests bring up. I am not necessarily in favor or disfavor of anything, because I don't know what they're going to bring up. But in any case, Drew, those are very interesting conjectures. Of course, you laid it out for the common person. That's why we love having you on the Truth Channel, because you have a way that you speak to the common man and woman out there, whereas I get a little bit complicated. My approach to all of what you said is, at the core, it's a warfare, a spiritual warfare that has been projected into 3D space that we call prison planet Earth, and the war is against a bloodline of Adam. The war is against the bloodline of Adam, and collateral damage of just pain and suffering for all of the fallen angels that take flesh form down here. But at the core, it's a blood war between the blood of Adam and God and the blood of Lucifer and the tares. And all of the things that Drew describes, the institutions of pharmacia, education, legal systems is totally corrupt. And as well as the institutions of man and all other forms, especially religion, it's all demonic. It's all satanic. The God of this world is Satan, folks. You're in hell already if you haven't figured it out. Now, there is hope, though, but the problem is, as Drew mentioned, everybody is stupefied, as the Apocalypse of Baruch said everybody would be in a stupor, which they are. And in order to break this witchcraft trance that you're in, this spell of witchcraft, it takes effort. I do not believe that on a aggregate basis there is much hope. This is all prophesied. We are in the end stages of end time prophecy. It will fulfill itself. But on an individual basis, God will preserve a remnant, a few that wake up. You have to wake up first, like Drew is saying, and then you have to inoculate yourself with the only thing that will work, which is the Holy Spirit. Now, this is not a easy believism or anything that the church will teach you. This is a picking up your cross and walking the narrow way of truth, and diligently seeking through prayer and repentance to become righteous, put on the breastplate of righteousness. And that's the flavor that I want to bring balance to what Drew is talking about, because Drew is certainly describing the world as it is. It's a satanic system. Every aspect is a satanic system. And among there, Father God has put a few of his prodigal sons and daughters. We're in enemy territory. We're sojourning in the land of the damned, prison of the angels, Planet of the Apes. We're out of our normal confines of spiritual realms, and we're really in hell sojourning. What is the purpose of it all? Well, everything's a truth test or a faith test, but ultimately we're going to find out. But thank you, Drew. I'm going to turn it back over to you, and you can continue in this corporatocracy, I think, as Alex Jones would say, where from birth you belong by dominion and legal right to Lucifer as chattel. Drew?
Yes, the Crown Corporation is a real thing. Okay, they made, in the Game of Thrones series, they talked about the crown, and they said in there when they started getting into that aspect of it, is that the crown and the faith are two pillars that need each other. Okay, and well, they're both corporations. They're both large portions of the Crown Corporation, which is the banking city of London, and Vatican City, which is basically one of Satan's homes. And then you got your Washington D.C., Mystery Babylon, and we play the World Police, and we see so many things, and I sit there and I listen. I drive, my commute's like an hour, and I sit there and I listen to mostly for traffic, so I can try to avoid any of this insanity that goes on out there, because and I see the people that create the accidents. I see the way they drive. They have this brain parasite where they speed and they do so many awful things. They can't get down the road. They're panicking. They have to be in ahead of everyone else. Definitely the tears are definitely the tears. And so I sit there and I listen to this propaganda all the time. I listen to it and I pick it out, and I think to myself, I want to record this so that I can, if I do a podcast from time to time, I can put this in here and say, listen to this. This is propaganda, propaganda that says that climate change is hurting the elderly. Okay. Climate change is killing the elderly. Okay. Now, the doctors are killing the elderly with their fake care, their fake health care. Okay. Climate change doesn't exist that I believe, so many others. Okay. I don't know what Professor Truth's stance is on that, but it is yet another weapon to get people to divide. There's people divided by color, by race,
by flat earth,
the flat earth controversies. And you got, what I was just mentioning. So we get into this everyday minutia where our minds get filled with all of this just absolute nonsense that means nothing, and I mentioned before, I even part of me wants to believe that maybe Russia wants to do something good, that they are actually trying to move in the right direction. You can have banking, but do you have to have usury? Do you have to have usury? Okay. So Russia is going into the BRICS, the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, I want to say, what is it, India, South Africa, China, right? South Africa, China, maybe India, Russia, and Brazil, where they're trying to create another currency. So I don't know if these things are happening because this is good, trying to remove itself from, the dollar, trying to remove, because when the dollar dies, America is going to drop down. Okay. And maybe that's the goal. I don't know whether when we see, largely we know when, just by understanding the deception, if your mind's working at half speed, you can tell that there's something wrong. And you can see that all of these things are just not making sense. Okay. So you got your 9/11 just recently. Jon Stewart, the comedian, the fake news guy that, the Daily Show, went to Congress and said, how come these people after 19 years are not getting the support that they need? Never forget, right? That's the system said, never forget this, never forget these people. These people are the heroes. And then yet they're riddled with disease because whatever was in those buildings when they disintegrated, when they collapsed by design. So we sit there and we look at that and they say they're not even taking it. How can we even take this system seriously anymore when they're not taking care of people that the system lifted up and said these people, And so there's one guy there who couldn't even. He was like, he was so sick that he barely made it there, and then it's another tragedy. But then do they even realize that they've been lied to about the whole thing, which would double and triple the pain, right? And then Stewart's was being interviewed that same day and said, after we deal with this, then we're going to deal with the burn pits. Most American people don't even know what the burn pits are. Is over in Iraq, they take all this chemical, biological weapon, all these rubber tires and all this stuff, and then they throw them in the sand. They throw them into a pile. They set it on fire, and the chemicals that mix together are breathed in, inhaled by the troops over there. This is how much they care about the troops. Okay, this is how much they care about the troops. They breathe it in, they come back, and they get throat cancer, head and neck cancer, all this other stuff. Okay, and these are the things that I see when I watch Russian news or RT documentaries, where they talk about the burn pits and they talk about the things that are going on. Now, it could just be like stoking the fire for World War III. I don't know. I want to believe that there's some force for good out there. I just don't feel that. That's going to happen. It's too late in the game. People that don't understand what's going on. They don't understand. They couldn't possibly understand what Professor Truth, the wisdom that he puts out there, that he propagates and conveys to anybody who will listen and try to understand. We have. Scientists may have crossed the ethical line in growing human brains. I mean, all you have to do is look at the headlines, and that something is being set up. Like this week, I heard it, and it was propaganda, and it clicked with me. Oh, it turns out that the antibiotic-resistant superbugs are killing at least twice the amount that they thought of before. And now what do they have? They also have an Ebola vaccine that is just finishing through its process. Everybody needs to get it. Everybody wants to get it. Okay. This is scary stuff, people. If you don't find the source, I mean, I don't know. I look at it every day, and I see the greed. The people that I've worked with in the past, companies that I've worked for. I just look at people and I see that what drives them is unnatural. We live in an unnatural world. Everything about nature is being destroyed. This entire week, I look up at the sky and I see nature being absolutely destroyed by geoengineering, man-made clouds of filth and degeneracy, and things that are absolutely infiltrating our bodies and creating an imbalance in our brains and in our bodies. And the phones are probably exacerbating that. Those phones are probably exacerbating the chemicals and the metals or things that are in there. I mean, I can't even imagine anybody that could look up into the sky and see what's happening up there. It infuriates me. I can't believe there's not more people looking up and saying, what is happening up there? What is happening in the sky? That is not normal. Lionel, this guy who does he's on RT quite a bit. He's like a lawyer. He connected. What happened was at one point he connected with InfoWars, and then they kind of propelled him up so people know. And he's kind of like a Joe Pesci type character. So he's kind of likable, and he starts pointing out a lot of stuff. But he also gets involved in the left-right paradigm. But he posted something on Twitter saying, "What is this in the sky?" Pointing out, like, what is this? What is it? And I wrote back, I said, it's chemical biological weapons. It's biological in your sky being put in there on purpose. On purpose. It's hurting you. It's hurting your family. It's hurting your children. It's hurting everyone. But nobody has the mental capacity to look up and say, there's something wrong with this. And if Trump is so fighting the New World Order and all of these different organizations that are hurting people, why is he not saying anything? I'm not like a super fan of Roger Stone, if anybody knows who Roger Stone is, but he was found guilty on all these accounts. He's 67. He's going to go to jail for like 50 years. Is Trump going to pardon him? Is Trump going to pardon him? Now, these aren't things that are like super important to me, but there was no collusion. There was no, through Mueller. I mean, there was no collusion. The Democrats they lost their minds. Now, Roger Stone is going to go, and Trump's got the power to pardon him. I hope he does. I don't think Roger Stone's an awful guy. He's just another, I'm not going to say a victim, because these people, there's no victims, just volunteers, right?